Everybody. In case you haven't noticed, Haley is not with us today. Unfortunately, she's a little under the weather. So it is just me today flying solo. Hope you guys are all doing wonderful. I know this is our first true show post Alaska. If you didn't watch last week on the show, Haley and I, we spent the full show just recapping Alaska. Um, I have been truly amazed at how many people have reached out, continuing to ask about Alaska. I keep thinking about it, guys. I really, really keep thinking about it. Had a wonderful time up there, and a lot of people have been reaching out, booking Alaska for next year. So I get the question all the time. When is a good time to book? Alaska for next year, and it's now, right? Because most people start thinking about that in like January, and that's oftentimes the rates will be higher. So I tell people, hey, if you're thinking about summer Europe, summer Alaska, now is the time to get it locked in before those rates go up. So remember, guys, if you're watching this on Facebook, type in a comment with the names. I know who it is. Some of the comments might be going to Haley's Facebook and YouTube page, and I may not see them. So my apologies. So I'm not ignoring you. It's just Haley sees some and I see some. So my apologies if I don't see it. Well, guys, it is top of the hour. I am Jason Poole. I'm a travel advisor with Cruise Planners, an American Express travel representative. And I just love talking about travel, especially cruises, land vacations. Europe is great. I love Europe. And, now I guess I'll talk about Alaska a lot, right? I really, really enjoyed it. So we have some great things to get into today, and let's get started. But first and foremost, Haley, if you're listening or if you're watching later, I wish you a speedy recovery. Guys, it's not COVID. It's just like a sinus funky stuff. So she'll be fine. So anyways, on to the news. I love this one. So Club Med did a study of the top 10 happiest travel destinations in North America based on consumer index, like, people who traveled there, who they liked it. There were a few notable mentions in the top 10. I'm biased because number 10 on the list was my hometown of Nashville, Tennessee. So Nashville made the top 10 happiest travel places in America, which is fun. People who come to Nashville, they always have a great time. So if you're coming to Nashville, let me know, and I will gladly help you out with places to stay. It really is a fun place to come hang out. Okay, few notable places on here as well. Canada was highly represented on this top 10 list. No surprise. Halifax, Toronto, Vancouver all made the top 10. But the number one happiest travel destination in North America is probably my favorite place to travel in North America, and it is Sin City, Las Vegas, Nevada. So when I saw that, I got excited. I haven't been to Vegas since in about a year and a half, and I'm really, really wanting to get back to Vegas. So that is the number one happiest travel destination in America. So Vegas, I always tell people Vegas is more than just gambling. Like, I'm not really a gambler. Like, last time I went to Vegas, I played roulette. I lost $50 very quickly, and that's all the money I spent. Right? I just don't really gamble that much, but you can still do so much more in Las Vegas. I actually just put together a package for someone who just went to Las Vegas or going to Las Vegas soon. So I really, really do like Las Vegas. So I know this is where I wish Haley were here. She would disagree with me. She doesn't like Las Vegas nearly as much as I do. So now let's say you need to get to one of these top 10 travel destinations. The Department of Transportation has just announced that airline complaints are up 270% versus the levels pre-COVID-19 pandemic. So if you guys know, airline travel is a mess right now. there are hopes that with school being back in session, that summer peak is going to start to decline. Fingers crossed. Even I had some issues with it in New York City recently, and I was just flying home from Alaska and Seattle, and I posted this in our online Facebook group. The pictures of the regular TSA line were hours long, hours. And thank goodness I had Clear, because Clear plus pre-check. Clear gets you in front of the line. Pre-check so Clear plus pre-check gets you in front of the pre-check line. And guys, it was a lifesaver. Like I had this. I was walking into Clear, and I felt bad for this guy. This guy comes running up behind me, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, is this the line for security?" And I said, "Do you have Clear?" And he goes, "Well, what's that?" And I said, "Well, then you don't have Clear. You would know." And he was like, "Well, where do I go?" And I was like, "There's the line over there." And he goes, "Oh my gosh, no, I'm gonna miss my flight." And I was like, "Dude, I don't know what to tell you." Right. Get in the line, cross your fingers, hope for the best. Right. So travel is a mess. Hopefully it's going to get better. Secretary Buttigieg, head of the transportation department, has reached out to the airlines and has said, guys, you got to get this under control. Right. One of the problems is the airlines are selling too many flights. And so if there's delays, there's not enough crew because all the crew are timing out. So there really is a problem with all the airlines getting too ambitious, selling a full day's worth of flights, and they can do them if there's no delays. When there starts to be delays, those flights at the end of the day get canceled because the crews have timed out. So the government is asking the airlines to fix it. They said, we don't want to regulate you, but if you don't fix it, we're gonna jump in. So keep an eye on the airline industry. All right, let's jump into cruising. We have a few exciting things to talk about with cruises. So if you guys don't know, the Royal Caribbean Group recently fully bought into Silver Seas. So that is the luxury cruise line. And so now I really do think the Royal Caribbean Group picture looks wonderful. So they have their entry mass market family line, Royal Caribbean. Then they have their premium line, that's Celebrity. And now they have their luxury line, Silver Seas. So now they have three distinct products for three distinct different markets. So I think for the first time in a while, the Royal Caribbean Group picture looks wonderful. They really have something from everybody from intro to premium to luxury. So I think it's doing great. Well, as you guys know, the Crystal was not doing well. When they suspended operations, they say they're coming back. We'll see. We'll see. But Crystal sold Silver Seas, one of their ships, the Endeavor, and it is now the Silver Seas Endeavor. And they kind of renovated it a little bit, made it more Silver Seas branded, but for the most part, it's the same ship. It was still a beautiful ship. But what's great, if you guys don't know this, Silver Seas has its traditional boutique luxury ships. Okay. So what do you think about, right? We saw one, you can see them in Alaska, you see them in the Caribbean, you see them in Europe. It's just what you think of, right? Just a regular ocean liner ship, much smaller, but luxury boutique. Silver Seas also has a expedition fleet. So they have a number of ships that are specifically designed for more active, more expedition type places, such as the Galapagos, such as Antarctica. So Silver Seas is really doubling down with the Endeavor on Antarctica. So some of these itineraries down to Antarctica with Silver Seas look absolutely just amazing. Most, like Celebrity, goes down to Antarctica. They had a port or two. Silver Seas, since they're much smaller, they're focused on expeditions. They can go deeper into Antarctica than like a traditional ocean liner can. So I'm really excited. We're about to see, I think, some great things happening with Silver Seas. I keep checking out on their website. I really want to get on one soon. Like I said, it's a totally different experience, right? They come and pick you up at your house. take you to the airport, like take you to the hotel, pick you up from the hotel, take you to the ship, and then a reverse to come home. I mean, it is a true door to door luxury experience. Your vacation starts the moment you walk out your door. So I think they are doing some great things. So, keeping also in the cruise industry, Norwegian finally took control, or I should say, ownership of the Prima. That is their brand new class of ship. So it'll be Prima class. The first one is the Norwegian Prima. Katy Perry is the godmother. There's been some really fun things on Instagram with Katy Perry running around the Prima. It looks fun. Guys, this ship looks amazing. So Norwegian is kind of the only brand or only cruise line in that like family mass market who has really done a true all-inclusive suite experience. So called the Haven. It's very similar to like what Celebrity does with the Retreat. So none of Norwegian's direct competitors in that family space have anything like the Haven. The Haven is it's amazing. It's the ship within a ship concept. So all the suites are together for the most part. They have a private pool, private restaurant, private bar. All your drinks are included. Concierge, like private sun deck. I mean, it really is a ship within a ship concept. So the Prima is going to have the largest variety of suite categories for a large ocean ship. So they're going to have 13 different types of suites on the Prima, which is wonderful. Like I have clients who, it's just a couple and they just want the cheapest suite, get them into the Haven. That's great. I have clients that have 2 kids, 3 kids, 4 kids, and they want a multi-suite room. So the ship looks absolutely wonderful. Someone just asking here, what about the Wonder versus the Haven? So I think this just depends, right? If you're wanting a suite experience, I still think Norwegian's going to beat out anything Royal Caribbean does, because in the Haven, they treat your reservation like it's a suite. You get the drink package, you get Wi-Fi included, gratuities are included. They throw in some onboard credits, some shore excursion credits, dining vouchers, right? Every room gets, I can't remember what they call them, but like it's not a butler. That's not what they call them. I can't remember what they call them, but it's like a butler. It's just more of a true suite experience that mimics what Celebrity does with the Retreat. One of my biggest complaints about the Royal Suite program is, you book anything but a star class suite. You book a Crown Loft and you're paying, 5 digits for that, and you still got to buy a drink package. You still don't get any type of like butler service. Gratuities are not included in that price. So it still just surprises me that Royal still like nickels and dimes their suite program. And the difference too is, yes, the Wonder has a great, I think it's the best suite program they have so far, but it's on one ship. The Haven is on every Norwegian ship, even their smallest ones. Celebrity's Retreat is on every ship. Now, not all the ships got the Retreat Sun Deck because COVID canceled some of the dry dock, but they're working on it. So I really think if you're wanting a true suite experience for that family mass market experience, this Norwegian, and they really don't have a true competitor in that space. And that's why they sell out, right? I mean, the Haven sells out very, very fast. And when I have clients who call with families and they want a true suite experience, I almost always put them in the Haven. I mean, I just really, really like the Haven, especially for the family-friendly environment. So what's going to be interesting is the Prima is smaller than some of their more recent ships. But they're also taking quite a fewer people on board. So they're really trying to increase the guest to crew ratio. So I think that's just really great. The Haven's bigger, so the Prima is really looking like a beautiful ship. I get a sail on the Prima in November for a few nights, so I will bring you guys all of those updates. So now, Disney Cruise Line made some news today, and this has kind of been standard across the industry. The cruise lines are pretty much all dropping the requirement to be vaccinated to cruise with them. And this has led to lots of debate. Should unvaccinated people be going on a cruise? Should they not? We're not here to have this debate. If Haley were here, we might have a little discussion about it, but just reporting the facts. But for the most part, you can cruise without having been vaccinated against COVID-19. There are some restrictions, of course. Certain countries won't allow it. Some ports won't allow sailing. Certain cruise lines have sailing like length destinations, like transatlantics, to be vaccinated. So things are kind of changing rapidly. But Disney was the one that most recently said no vaccines required to sail. There's just some extra testing involved if you're not vaccinated, and they're getting rid of the testing requirement if you are vaccinated. And that's kind of been across everywhere in the industry now. So Disney is the latest to follow that trend. So I wish Haley were here. What a really great question of the day. What do you think needs to be modernized in the cruise industry? So if you're watching this, especially on YouTube, type in your answer, what you think should be modernized in the cruise industry. I think the number one thing that needs to be modernized in the cruise industry is the breakfast/lunch options. One of the biggest complaints I have is I really like to do a brunch when I'm on a cruise. And breakfast typically stops on a cruise at around 9 to 10, depending. And that's it. It's just breakfast. And then you have to wait, like if you're in Luminae and on a suite on Celebrity, or you're in Aqua and you have Blue, breakfast stops at 9:30. If it's a port day, sometimes it's even earlier, and then lunch doesn't start till noon. So I really think like a brunch option would be great. That's one thing I loved about Virgin. Like we did brunch at 11 o'clock one day on a sea day, and it was wonderful. Just woke up, got espresso, chilled, and then just went to a brunch. So I really think brunch needs to be more incorporated into the cruises. A really good suggestion: Wi-Fi. I agree. Now, what's exciting? Royal Caribbean's Freedom of the Seas is currently testing the new, I think it's called Starlink, and it's really fast. So our own Ken Jarvis was just on the Freedom, and he sent me some screenshots of the Wi-Fi speeds on the Freedom, and they were fast. So I'm hoping the Starlink technology is kind of rolled out everywhere. I will say Virgin a pretty good Wi-Fi. It wasn't as good as the Starlink. Speaking of Norwegian, keeping it real, Norwegian's Wi-Fi is terrible. It's to the point if I have clients that need to work, I tell them you don't need to go on Norwegian. Like you need to stick with Royal, Celebrity, or if no kids, Virgin. The Virgin Wi-Fi is actually pretty good. So yeah, I agree. Wi-Fi definitely needs to be improved. I think we will see that. The brunch issue, I'm not sure, right? Because so many people that cruise are of until a lot of those people don't cruise anymore. I don't think we're going to see some of the things modernized, right? Because like a lot of the cruise lines still have, an older demographic. And so they still expect certain things like, a formal night, breakfast, they don't mind breakfast stopping at 9:30, right? So that's one thing I did like about Virgin. There's no formal night. There's no captain walking around in a uniform. It's just, you just kind of, it's like going to a resort, right? Or like a luxury hotel. It's just a little bit more of a modern feel. So I think the cruise lines will evolve, but it's going to take some time. So those are great modernization charging stations. Yeah, I still get frustrated when I go into the room and it's like a USB-A plug, and it's just like, ugh, no one uses USB-A anymore. We're all on USB-C now, and it's like, well, eventually we'll be on something else. So I agree. And no plugs by the bed just absolutely triggers me. Like, I don't understand how there are cruise ships without power plugs by the bed. It just blows my mind. Okay, so before we end, we have a really great travel tip of the day. So, as you know, Haley and I are always talking about like the airline alliances, right? So, we're Delta fans, and that they're part of SkyTeam, so they have partners. So, Air France, KLM, Virgin Atlantic. So those are all partners with SkyTeam. And have you ever been like at the airport, you're at your terminal ready to board, and you see your flight, and you notice it has like different flight numbers with different airlines? Well, that's because of the code sharing. They have partnerships with other airlines. And sometimes you can find flights less expensive through a partner airlines, including pay with cash or pay with miles. For example, Haley was just looking at a flight to Europe, and she was like, well, I'm going to use some miles. And it was 425,000 miles through delta.com. Okay, it was a Delta One ticket, expensive, over 4,100 miles to go. She looked at Virgin Atlantic, and it was only 100,000 miles with Virgin Atlantic. So, she looked at what credit cards you had to transfer points, yada, yada, yada. So, she was able to secure a flight significantly cheaper, and it's going to be the same flight. It's the exact same flight. It's just code share, right? So we see this a lot with American. We see a lot with United. We know with their partner airlines, which one reason I kind of like websites like Kayak to look for flights. So you plug in your flight, and you can actually sort by alliances. So let's say you're a United fan. You can sort just by Star Alliance, and it'll show you just United and all of the Star Alliance networks. And sometimes you can find a flight less expensive that way, and you book it through, another airline. You put in your United loyalty number, and you get on that plane, and you are on a United flight, but you book through another airline, but you're still going to earn the United points. So that happens all the time. So, it is always a good idea just to kind of poke around, make sure there's not a better deal to have. I know Haley likes Google Flights. I kind of like Kayak a little better. I think Kayak's a little faster, but Google Flights is great as well. Well, guys, that's a wrap. My goal was to do it in 20 minutes. It is 10:21 Central Time, so we did it. Haley, if you're listening, I hope you feel better next week. We will be back same time next week to keep talking about all things travel. Guys, if you're not in our Facebook group, please join todayintravel.live. We've been seeing some great photos, some great articles, great advice in there. So thank you so much for watching. Sorry it was just me today, but we wish Haley a speedy recovery. And guys, take care. We'll see you online. Bye-bye.